Aubrey wakes up on Monday, the 8th of summer, and she feels much better than she felt last night. She looks down at her hands and her like skin and her fingernails. Everything is healed. She can barely recall the traumatic events of yesterday, though she does attempt to recall them, just sort of out of habit. She remembers her time in the mines. She remembers stumbling upon like a disgusting breeding ground where slimes were just like slobbering all over each other, sliming each other, like rolling over each other in big piles. She could swear that she saw like some pretty gross stuff. She doesn't really want to think about it, but she does anyway because she's come to terms with it just a bit. She had a near-death experience. She was nearly killed by slimes, and it was not fun. But she had a good cry about it in her bed last night, and she realized that actually a lot of her trauma was due to herself, and that she was actually at fault for a significant amount of it. So, in order to right her wrongs, in order to advance and be healthy, she just took a poppy, one of the flowers that she planted specifically for Penny. She took a white poppy to give to Penny, and she reached in to her chest and she pulled out a quartz for Abigail, maybe another quartz for the wizard, a spring onion for Leah. What else? Um, some sweet peas to give to random people that she encounters. And then she pretty much calls it good. Perfect. She looks at her farm. She's very proud. She's very, very proud to have planted these 2 sprinklers here, but she has great plans for the future. She really, really wants to set up a permanent automated sprinkler system that will water all of the things that she's currently growing. And in order to do that, she realizes, she will have to get a lot more iron and copper bars, and then like she's imagining in her head, she's like doing the calculations, she's like writing the blueprints in her mind. She's imagining combining the iron rods and copper rods in some attempt to like weave them into a sprinkler, because she doesn't need any tools to do this. It's kind of amazing. She can just like walk across the ground and like decide that she wants to make a sprinkler, and then she can just take the iron and the copper bars and like twist them around in her fingertips and like bend them against her knees and like, I don't know, chew on them, and like she can deform them with her teeth a little bit, and then out pops a sprinkler. It's kind of like how some people can tie a knot in a cherry stem with their teeth and their tongues. Well, Aubrey can do that with sprinklers. She can just eat up iron and copper bars, and out pops a sprinkler. Perfect. She walks up to the wizard, Rasmodius. She just walks right up to his house. She just kicks the door open and then steps in and says, "What's up, motherfucker? Take this quartz, bitch." And then she just gives him the quartz, and he says, "Many thanks. This item has some very..." And he cuts off as he sees Aubrey just like like posturing at him. She's like she's crouching down a little bit. She's like got her feet apart, and she's like doing a she's like flexing her muscles at him, and he's really concerned. He's like, some very interesting properties, he says. He goes on. Whoops, I've already given him a gift. Yes, I have seen many things about your future, young Aubrey. If I were to tell you, there could be grave consequences, he goes on. Well, it couldn't possibly be as bad as what nearly happened last night, which is that I nearly died fighting some horrific monstrosities. And come to think of it, Rasmodius, you could probably see me down there. You could probably see me struggling to survive. You could probably see me like panicking a little bit as the slimes closed in from all sides. You could probably hear my panicked squeals of terror as I like stared into the glowing red eyes of those slimes and tried very hard in those moments not to think about slimes having sex. You were probably just delighting in thinking about slimes having sex, because if you were watching me, she thinks, then you saw that one slime reproduce, and Rasmodius, she thinks, that 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 was an unholy act that occurred down there, and if you're not disgusted by it, then I don't even know what to think. She was distracted by the sight of Leah, and she just waltzed right up to Leah, like right up behind her, and just like surprised her a little bit. She was sort of being a little bit cute, trying to hide from Leah, trying to not be heard as she came up to Leah, and then trying really hard, she just like slipped the spring onion into Leah's pocket as she came up to her. "This is a really nice gift, thank you," she says. "I found some wild fruits this morning," she says. "Sorry, I don't have any left," she admits. "It's okay, Leah," Aubrey thinks. I would have... They're the kind of thing that I would have given to you anyway, so I'm glad that you were the one who ate them. Probably in one of your salads. "Keep looking," she goes on. "I'm sure you'll find something." "You know what, Leah? I believe. I believe that that if I keep looking, I will find some. Probably like this spiceberry. Maybe these are the things that you were thinking of, Leah? Leah?" Aubrey turns around and sees that she has long since walked far away from Leah. And Leah's anywhere near earshot. Fantastic. So, on her meandering stroll, she makes her way into the library trying to find Penny, but Penny is not there, despite the fact that it is noon on a Monday. This is the perfect time for Vincent and Jazz to be studying, for them to be receiving tutoring from Penny, but it looks like they're not doing that today, or maybe they're out getting lunch. So Aubrey decides to meander a little bit longer in an attempt to locate any of them. And she realizes, oh, I didn't bring a gift for Gus. And a sly smile comes across Aubrey's face, and she remembers the last time she gave Gus a gift, and how she has a little bit of a joke going with him. Whoa, a 510 gold reward for slaying 6 frost jellies, she thinks. This help wanted sign. Oh no. Aubrey begins to relapse. She sees the help wanted sign. She gets a flash. She's getting like flashbacks now of being in the mines and fighting slimes and looking into the frost slimes' bodies and seeing the spiderweb-like pattern of filaments inside of their bodies, and she really doesn't want to repeat that experience. But due to the fact that she is a natural adventurer, the idea grows more and more attractive in her mind as she imagines just sinking her blade into frost slimes and watching and feeling and hearing those filaments shattering as they come in contact with her sword. And the thought of it is a bit cathartic for her, and she has a little bit of a wistful thought. She actually does want to go back. She does want to go back. It's like in that TV show Sherlock, or maybe even in the original stories. Aubrey isn't sure. John Watson is actually a army medic. He's an army doctor, and his hands shake when he's bored. but when he's in danger, they do not shake. And this is because he misses the combat and he actually wants to go back. This is exactly what it's like for Aubrey. If she goes too long without going into the mines and slaughtering slimes, she starts to get a little bit jittery. Her teeth start to chatter, her fingers start to shake, and she just itches to rejoin the fight. Perfect. Okay. She runs up to Caroline. She realizes that she has 5 entire sweet peas in her pockets, and so she just walks up to Caroline and says, "Hello, Caroline," and she gives her the sweet pea. And Caroline says, "Oh, goodness, are you sure?" And she says, "On Wednesdays, the shop is closed." And Aubrey thinks, I already, thank you, Caroline. Keep that in mind if you're going to need anything," she says. Okay, okay, Caroline. I will keep that in mind in the future. Oh, it's Jody. Jody was the one who did not like flowers. Aubrey remembers. She tried to give her a flower in the past, but it backfired. Because Jody actually hates, I think it was a dandelion? She hates, or no, maybe it was a daffodil, one of those two. She hates them. And Aubrey is saddened by the fact that it seems that Jody does not like flowers. Okay. Aubrey is trying to find some of these people and is failing to locate them. Failing entirely. She goes back to the library looking for Penny, but once again, she's not here. And she realizes, you know what? I could have spent this time killing frost slimes. And so the thought of killing slimes re-enters her mind, and she sees Maru and decides to give her a flower. "This is a super gift, thank you," says Maru. "You're welcome, Maru. What do you have to say?" What sort of gadget should I tinker with this summer?" she wonders out loud. "I don't know, Maru. Why don't you make like a some sort of robot? I know you said," she goes on, "that you wanted to make a robot. So why don't you do that?" Aubrey asks. But once again, she was nowhere near Maru when she actually said these things, so Maru did not hear her. And at this point, Aubrey realizes, I've been walking around in circles trying to find these people forever, and I just haven't found them at all. And so she gives Emily a sweet pea. "Thank you, I'm feeling a positive energy from this gift," she says. Anything else to say, Emily?" "Eating healthy is very important to me. I want to live a long and active life," she says. "I think you will, Emily. And honestly, you probably do that. You probably do know that as well, because you're psychic. You clearly have some sort of affinity with magic, and you clearly you can clearly see into the future. Therefore, Aubrey concludes, you definitely know when and where and how you're going to die. So so the whole eating healthy thing is a little bit of a front, Aubrey believes, that Emily puts up in order to throw people off of her scent and to try to convince them that she's not psychic. Perfect. Okay. So, having completely failed to find Penny or Abigail this entire time, Aubrey decides that she will go into the mines and see if she can kill those 6 ice slimes. And on her way, she passes Robin, gives her a sweet pea, and Robin says, "Thanks, this is really nice. I would talk to you further, Robin, but oh, there's Abigail." She catches a glimpse of Abigail on her way up to the mines, and decides to be a little bit morbid with Abigail, because she knows that Abigail is a little bit obsessed with doom and gloom, just like her mother Caroline said that she was. So Aubrey walks up to Abigail, stands right next to her, and they both look out over the pond together. And then she sort of pulls out the quartz, holds it in her hands, and hands it to Abigail. And looks into Abigail's eyes. "Hey, how'd you know I was hungry? This looks delicious," says Abigail. Um, but Aubrey sort of looks into Abigail's eyes, looks into Abigail's heart, looks into Abigail's soul, and then she says, "Abigail, I have to do something. It's very important. I need to know that you support me in this." And then Abigail sort of looks up with a confused expression on her face, and she sort of asks, "What? What is it?" And then Aubrey replies, "Well, some someone has put a bounty on frost slimes, and so therefore it is my solemn duty as someone who is capable of killing frost slimes to go and fulfill this contract." And so she starts to get a little bit more animated now. She's looking at Abigail. She's turned now. They're no longer facing the same direction. Aubrey has turned so that she's facing Abigail now, and Abigail has also turned so that she's facing Aubrey, and so they're looking at each other, and Abigail is holding the quartz and like rolling it between her fingers a little bit. And Aubrey says, "I may not survive. Please think of me." And then she turns around and leaves. And Abigail is very confused. She's standing there. She's thinking about the mines. She's thinking about the frost slimes. She's thinking about Aubrey. She's thinking about the danger that awaits Aubrey. And um, she realizes, hey, wait a minute. What if something happened to Aubrey down there? Would I care? And Abigail is forced to confront her feelings, which are that Aubrey's all right, actually. I mean, Abigail only likes Aubrey 2 out of 10 possible hearts, but that's not nothing. It's not insignificant. Abigail thinks, oh, I actually would be sad if something were to happen to her. Maybe I should pray a little bit for her while she's down there. And so Abigail heads home. Abigail goes into her bedroom and she sits down in front of her like altar, and she thinks of Aubrey, and she thinks of Aubrey's task. She thinks of Aubrey's burden, and realizes that Aubrey is actually a pretty cool person, and maybe they should open up to each other a little bit more. And so as Aubrey is down here in the mines, risking her life to protect the town, Abigail is at home feeling safe and realizing that part of the reason she's able to feel safe is because of Aubrey's sacrifice. Fantastic. And so Aubrey is down here. She's in an infested area once again. Thoughts of yesterday return to her. She realizes that this place is really, really dangerous. She realizes not only is this place perilous physically, not only will she potentially encounter great danger and could even die, Aubrey realizes that she's also in psychological danger because yesterday she nearly broke. She was having a breakdown. She said some things. She did some things. She maybe went a little bit overboard, and so now she's fully aware that that is a possibility, and she's sort of on the lookout for it. She doesn't want it to happen again, and so Aubrey is down here, and she's paying special attention to her mental health. Perfect. Whoa, what's going on? A way down has appeared? You mean this? Oh. Yes, apparently. Aubrey manages to escape the spooky infested area and makes her way down into another ice biome, and is promptly assaulted on all sides by the worst unsavory types she could possibly imagine. And so instead of fighting them, she just decided to hightail it the fuck out of there. And she just left. Like, screw that. She didn't want to deal with it. She didn't want to let it get to her again. And frankly, she was feeling a lot better already, and she knew that if she left now, she would also feel better in the morning. So, with the interest of maintaining her mental health at a positive level, she decided to not risk her life any further and to instead just go home. And as, as she passes by Maru's house, she sees a rabbit dodging out of the way, and she thinks, you know what? I'm not going to hurt you, rabbit. And she calls out to the rabbit, 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 um, I have some fiber for you. Don't you want to eat this green plant matter? And so she throws the fiber on the ground, and she sort of waits for the rabbit. Um, she's sort of still calling to the rabbit, Rabbit, where are you? And then after like 5 minutes, nothing happens. So she realizes, maybe my mental health is not quite as good as I thought it was, but it's definitely better than it was before. So there is that to think about. Perfect. And then she makes her way back home and goes straight to bed. And inside her house, she finds Joan of Arc sleeping happily, and she pets Joan of Arc and goes to bed. And in the night, she dreams of combat. She dreams of honorable combat. She dreams of valor and glory and success. And she dreams up a new recipe for a new kind of ring. And what that ring would do is to occasionally infuse the wearer with warrior energy after slaying a monster. Ooh. Yeah, she dreams about a particular kind of recipe that would like infuse her with um, with like Hulk mode energy. She can see she can see like a vision of what she thinks will happen, and she can see that what it will actually do to her is like make her muscles get a little bit bigger, and make her expression go like permanently deformed, like permanently angry in some weird way, and that means um, um, she's like insulated from damage and is also a little bit um, uh, a little bit more willing to kill. Like she's a little bit frenzied. She's in like berserker mode when she's wearing this ring. Perfect. As she's running and doing her morning errands, she goes and picks up two more hot peppers, and she thinks, this salsa is going to be pretty good. And she puts the peppers away, um, and she realizes, I do not have enough frozen tears to make this warrior ring, so therefore I'm not going to make it. Uh, um, and she looks through her list of things that might be useful, and she's not finding anything. She's not finding anything that could potentially be useful in any sense. But seeing that it is 6:50 a.m. on a day when the spirits are mildly perturbed, she decides that it's a good day to do things around the farm and also see if she can find those people and give them their presents. Perfect. So she puts away some things. She puts away some fiber and a spice berry and some sap, a winter root, some slime, some stones, um, and she smelts up a whole lot of metal and gets ready for building a lot of things in the future. Perfect. She also manages to hoe the ground in a spot where the sprinkler will sprinkle, and plants down a thing there to be sprinkled by the sprinkler. And so she thinks, hey, this could be the start of a beautiful thing. It could be the start of my very first automated farm. Um, but she's thinking back, and she realizes that she's gonna need to completely redo the entire thing, actually. Okay. Um, at this point, uh, Aubrey is trying to organize her thoughts. She's trying to decide what to do, and she realizes that she should go and look for those people again because she can't neglect her friends. So she takes another present for Leah, presents for Abigail and the wizard, presents for Penny and some other people, and also she remembers this time to bring a present for Gus. So what is she going to give for Gus? Give to Gus? What's she going to give to Gus? Maybe... Maybe... Um... A pepper? Maybe a... No. She actually doesn't want to give him anything. She doesn't have enough things. She doesn't have enough things that she thinks that Gus would like. So she doesn't give him anything. Instead, she just heads out straight towards Leah's house. And as she passes through her property, she sees the trees that she didn't cut down. She sees the birds that are living on her property, and she smiles up at the birds, and the birds look down at her, and one of the birds caws at her, and she doesn't speak bird, but she's pretty sure that that was something that was meant to be rude, and she sort of shakes her fist a little bit, but she resists the urge to say anything to the bird because she knows that she made a vow to be nice to birds. Even though they're being ungrateful little bastards by cawing at her for no reason on her own property. She resists the urge to be angry at birds. So she clenches her fist a little bit, but she ultimately lets it go and doesn't care after a few moments. And she thinks back to the woodpecker and that family of birds who were probably the woodpecker's cousins, and she remembers being so rude to them, and she remembers displacing them from their ancestral home, and she thinks, yes, that was a mean thing to do, but at the same time, she realizes I really needed that tree to be gone, so that tree was going down. It didn't matter if there were birds in it or not. That tree was going down. Many thanks. This item has some very interesting properties, says the wizard. Stormy days are the only time I can commune with certain elementals, he goes on. I don't expect you to understand, he says. And Aubrey remembers that he has said this exact thing before, and Aubrey is a little bit suspicious because she's now wondering, Rasmodius? Are you saying this to me a second time because you think I'm, like, too stupid to remember that you've said it already? Are you saying it to me because you're trying to confuse me? Are you screwing with me, Rasmodius? And so she can feel the rage building up inside of her, and she can feel the need to grab her sword. She, like, twitches a little bit and like, almost pulls it out, but ultimately she catches herself, and she doesn't threaten him. Perfect. Aubrey manages to find Leah inside of her house, making a sculpture. It looks like a sculpture of, like, a question mark, or maybe, like, an ampersand. She thinks that if she stood in the right area, it would look like an ampersand. So she stands right next to the sculpture and looks at Leah, and she's trying to think of a funny way to give Leah the spring onion, but Leah doesn't seem to be having it today. Leah is focused on her sculpture, and so Aubrey sees this. She understands. She understands that Leah is an introvert and that she doesn't have time for everyone's shit all the time. So she just takes the spring onion and places it down right on top of Leah's head. This is a really nice gift. Thank you, says Leah. Maybe I should cook something new and exciting today. Something spicy, she says. Oh, something spicy, you say? Aubrey asks. Should I give you my hot peppers? Would you use my hot peppers? And Aubrey jumps into Leah's bed and like jumps on top of the bed and like makes a huge mess out of the bed. And then she looks over at Leah. Leah is trying very hard not to look at her. And so Aubrey decides, next time I'm leaving my house, I will take a hot pepper. Oh shit. She realizes, actually, I can't do that. Because I've already given Leah 2 gifts this week. But she decides, I can give Leah a hot pepper next time I can. Next time I can give her a gift. Perfect. She walks up to Emily, and she gives Emily a sweet pea. Thank you, I'm feeling a positive energy from this gift, she says. It never rains in Calico Desert. That's where my friend Sandy lives. Oh, I wish I could have visited her today, says Emily. Aw, poor Emily. Poor Emily wants to visit her friend, whose name is Sandy and who lives in the sand. Fantastic. The world, when the world makes sense, she begins. It's a beautiful thing. She goes on, love it when the world makes sense. And as she's walking in the rain, getting completely soaked through and not even noticing, she finds Abigail. The valley looks more interesting in the rain, don't you think? Oh my god, Abigail. Could you have said something that better encapsulates my internal, reason for existing? Aubrey wonders, and so she hands Abigail a quartz. Hey, how'd you know I was hungry? This looks delicious. With that classic laugh that she has all the time. Abigail, Aubrey thinks, that comment about the rain may just have... Oh shit, where the fuck is Lewis? That comment about the rain may just have sent you into first place among my potential love interests, she thinks. Because, Aubrey's thinking, my affinity for rain is probably my strongest, it's probably the strongest emotion that I feel about being in a place. If there's rain, she goes on, I'm gonna love it. She just loves the rain. And so, frantically, she searches for Lewis, who she's supposed to tell that she killed all of those slimes. And so she's looking for Lewis, and hoping that she finds Lewis, and wondering if Lewis's vampire abilities, affect her negatively, or affect him negatively in any way. Hey, it's Penny. She runs up to Penny, completely loses her train of thought regarding Lewis. If you want my mother to dislike you, give her a squid, whatever that is. She hates that stuff with a passion. Penny. Interesting. So Aubrey walks straight up to Penny and gives her a poppy. Thank you, I really love this, she says. Oh, look at that. Penny has just risen from 1 to 2 hearts. Perfect. And so Aubrey resumes her train of thought regarding Lewis. Something vampire, something bad things. She finds Lewis in the saloon.
Ah, Aubrey, so you helped us with our slime problem?
Thank you, he says. Aubrey looks into Lewis's eyes, trying to find any hint that he's a vampire. She watches his teeth as he's talking, trying to find out if his canines are a bit longer than they're supposed to be. She watches his eyes to see if maybe like they glow when he talks or something. She's really suspicious, really suspicious. I hope you didn't go through too much trouble. Those slimes can be pretty dangerous in groups, he goes on. Well, Lewis, she thinks, I basically only sacrificed my sanity because I'm starting to get like some PTSD a little bit by from fighting those slimes. I'm okay now. I'm okay now. Not that you asked, Lewis, but yeah, I did sacrifice my mental health. It should be a little easier to go spelunking now, thanks to your efforts. Enjoy your reward, he says, and he just hands over 510 gold, which Aubrey just happily counts up. She's super excited. She freaking loves money, and she just counts it all up. Fantastic. Uh, And then she goes over to the help wanted sign and finds out that Evelyn wants an amethyst for 300 gold. In her mind, Aubrey weighs the options. She really wants that amethyst because she has one, and she intends to give it to Abigail on her birthday, because she's pretty sure that Abigail loves anything that's purple. Um, um, so if she does that, then Abigail will love it. She will love that gift, and she will treasure it always. However, if she gives the amethyst to Evelyn now, then Evelyn will be happy in the short term, and it's pretty likely that Aubrey will find another amethyst before Abigail's birthday. But at the same time, she doesn't want to risk it at all. She doesn't want. You know what? She goes back to her house. You know what? She thinks. She goes back to her house and she attempts to find out if she has just one amethyst or if there are multiple. Because she doesn't like having to make difficult decisions like this. She likes for things to just work out. And she finds that she only has one amethyst. So that's it, she concludes. I've made my decision. I'm not going to give it to Evelyn. I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to hold on to it, and I'm going to give it to Abigail, because I think that that is a better option. Poor Evelyn. She will not receive an amethyst. But she should have asked for something that wasn't more valuable to others in the town. Aubrey thinks, and she realizes that this is a bit of a negative thought, maybe a little bit of an insensitive thought. But she has the thought anyway because she's very protective of her friends, and she's very protective of the methods by which she raises affinity with those friends. She does not want to sacrifice her ability to make friends. Fantastic. Okay. Ooh. And then Aubrey wonders, do I have time? She wonders. Do I have time to get all the way back to town and give this other poppy to Penny? She wonders. Will it be too late? And so Aubrey sprints back. She's slipping on the cobblestones. They're all wet. There are puddles everywhere. As she sprints down the cobblestone streets, lightning crashes in the distance. Thunder rumbles in response. And oh shit. Aubrey manages to get into. Oh shit. She can get into Penny's room. So she walks right up to Penny. Penny is actually in bed at this point. Wait, she's actually sleeping, and I can't give this to her. Did I already give her a present today? Holy crap. Aubrey realizes that what she's doing is kind of creepy, actually. She did not mean to get into the bed with Penny. and try to give her a flower, um, she did not mean to do that at all. So she feels a little bit guilty, she feels a little bit scared, and so she exits the building and heads straight home. She runs into Abigail. She gives Abigail like a knowing smile, and Abigail just looks back at Aubrey as if to say, "I knew you'd survive. I knew you wouldn't die in those mines. I knew, within my heart, I knew that you would manage to kill the slimes and not be yourself killed." And so, Abigail and Aubrey, having communicated those things to each other non-verbally, parted ways, um, and or having communicated those things to each other non-verbally, part ways, and Aubrey heads straight back. But she gets a little bit distracted. She sees some worms on the ground, and she thinks to herself, my arch nemesis, worms, and so she pulls out her hoe and slams it into the ground and pulls out an ancient drum, which appears to be something interesting, or at least valuable. And so she goes into her bedroom and pets Joan of Arc. What a happy cat. What a good cat she is. And Aubrey goes to sleep, and as she's lying in bed, she's thinking about all the things that she's done. She's thinking about Abigail and Penny and Leah and all of those people. She's thinking about the wizard. She's thinking about Lewis. She's thinking about how she's going to expose Lewis, or at the very least learn the true nature of his vampirism. And actually, she gets a bit distracted by this thought and decides to go outside and plant another little trap for Lewis. She goes into her chests and picks out a particularly pretty sweet pea and puts it into Lewis's vampire box. And she vows, okay, I'm going to listen extra hard tonight. I'm going to see if I can find out what he's doing. I'm going to be looking for, like, if he's wearing different clothes, or, like, if he's, if he's maybe, like, doing a whole lot of parkour for no reason, because she's pretty sure that vampires do a lot of parkour for no reason. And lastly of all, she's going to be looking for any potential victims that Lewis might be, like, carrying on his back. Like, maybe if he has a huge knapsack that's sort of wriggling, she might conclude, oh shit, that knapsack probably has some victims that he's planning to drain the blood from later. So that's what she's looking out for. And honestly, she'll be looking out for basically any other suspicious behavior also. And so she goes to bed, she listens intently, and in the night she can hear a bump. And so she peers out her front door and she looks across the side of her house, and she can see Lewis in, like, a bright yellow raincoat. It's a big, bright yellow rubber, shiny raincoat, and he's just, like, delicately plucking the flowers out of her out of her chest. And well, she's not entirely certain, but she could have sworn that she saw something of a gleam, some sort of shiny reflection coming off of his face from some place where it shouldn't have been. And she thinks, are those his teeth? And he turns and he leaves. But as he's leaving, after about 5 seconds of him walking off of Aubrey's property, he sort of stops in his tracks, and he stands up a bit straighter, and then he starts to turn around. And Aubrey is just terrified, and she closes the door before Lewis can turn all the way around, and she just dumps straight into her bed and goes to sleep.